this is a majority Sunni Arab revolution, majority Sunni Arab defection, majority rural, really, and comes from those parts of Syria that have been really underdeveloped and really downtrodden under the Assad regime, especially in the last 10 years under Bashar own rule. But they are trying to very much appeal to the other side and trying to take the other side under consideration to the best of their ability. But the Assad so far have really managed to play the game pretty well. They have managed to play that divide and conquer role successfully up until now.
I don't see that there is a possibility of defeat at all. I mean, the Assad at the end will actually will fall, but the question of the matter of time. Because if you speak to the people on the ground and been speaking for the activists 30 to 50 every day, you will feel that how they are in power, and how they feel that they will not be able actually to rule them again as they did in the last 4 decades. This is why the defeat is not a possibility at all, but the question of actually the time and the cost, and this is actually the role of the international community. I do believe that the international community is, if you know, the possibility of the civil war, not because the international community will actually intervene in Syria. No, it's the opposite. As soon actually the international community is not intervening in Syria, the possibility of the civil war will be much higher. Exactly like what happened in Yemen. In Yemen it has been 10 months of peaceful demonstrations despite of seven pieces of weapons, of guns in Libya, but they refuse to use it because they do believe in the peaceful demonstrations, but the international community is not helping, and this is why we start actually some activists taking arms. And this is the same time that the international community is helping the Syrian people, is taking the Security Council is taking the responsibility to protect the civilians in Syria. I don't think that the civil war is a possibility in Syria. With the same time, since the Christian is not actually, they don't see their leaders to be Christian, or the Druze or the Sunni, they don't see that their leaders to be Sunni or to be, they see their leaders as who's one is taking a responsibility, who's taking actually a responsible language, who's responsible and believe on the interest of the people to be as freedom and dignity, one of the priority of the Syrians on that. This is why if the Christian is not involved in the high level in the protest, doesn't mean that they don't see in their interest to topple the Assad regime. The Christian in Syria is different than the Christian in Egypt. The Christian in Syria actually they belong to the upper and the business community, and those especially in Aleppo and the Armenian or in Damascus, the Orthodox, both actually belong to the upper and the middle class, and for them actually they see more economic opportunities after the fall of the Assad regime, which rule actually the country depends on actually the socialism and all the slogans, and this is why for them they have been supportive of the opposition, but at the same time they have some questions about the alternative. Because myself I have question about the alternative. I don't know who's actually the alternative after 47 years, but I'm sure after 7 months of peaceful protest, those people on the ground, they will be able actually to believe in democracy and respect of human rights, and no one actually will go in the civil war, because no one believes it in Syria, and no one is working on that. We don't see any actually assassination depends on the IDs, like what's happened in Lebanon during the civil war there. Regarding the army, we don't have actually an exact number of the people who have been defected on the sectarian background, because there is a lot, there is a few actually army officers who are Alawite have been defected after all of the atrocities they've been witnessed. But at the same time, the problem actually in the defectors in the army that they don't have a place to go. We have seen that in Libya after the NATO operation. 60% of the Gaddafi army, they left Gaddafi and they joined the opposition to Benghazi, Misrata, and other places. If I talked to a very high level Major General in Durham, he's actually originally from Radwan, and he'd been informed to serve in Durham, and he told me if he ordered actually and decided to defect, where I should go. We have no place to go, and at the same time we don't have the capacity to organize ourselves in our places here to defect. We start talking actually for the decision makers here in the United States and in other places. Please don't use the word there is no military intervention in Syria, because if you start talking about all options on the table, and Senator Casey, Senator McCain, and Senator Lieberman, all of those start talking about this is an option and no-fly zone, this is will take what we believe the psychological shock, because all the security officers they believe that they are immune. They can kill whatsoever, they can torture whatsoever. Yesterday, Talib Samra is an activist from my hometown, Daraya. He's been actually delivered to his family. His family. He has 11 bullets in his body at the Air Force security, and actually they remove one of his eyes. It's when you hear all these stories, the people they start talking about the security officer. They feel that they are immune, and no one can touch them, and the regime gives them the immunity. At the same time, the international community will not be able to reach them. This is why if we start talking about the military intervention, it's an option. Those people actually will be under the psychological shock. We'll see that, look, and as Ammar described exactly, the overwhelming of the security officers are Alawite. The overwhelming of police officers are Alawite. And if the Alawite community start hearing that the international will intervene in Syria like in Libya, then the Assad will finish like in Gaddafi, possibility will be massacred. And this will not allow for that. They will actually push al-Assad to step down. Last week he has a meeting with some Alawite figures like Mohammed Salman and others, and he still believes that the demonstrations only exist on Al Jazeera and Al Arabiya, nothing in the ground. He's out of reality, he's out of touch. He believes that the Al Jazeera and Al Arabiya, they exaggerate the number of the protesters, they exaggerate the number of the demonstrations, but on the ground there is no protest. There is only loyalists for him. And he started repeating that when some of the Alawite figures, Mohammed Salman, convincing him that the military intervention will be an option for the international community if we still continue killing the people every day. And he said, no, we reached the point that we quit the protest, and we have only this is only few in harms, and we'll be able to deal with them. And this is why I think the international community right now, it has to understand the psychological effect on the Alawite community and the Assad regime, and to work with the opposition to have a better option on Syria.
Let me give you one line. We need